Hello, everybody. My name is Prince Boss, and welcome to the possible finale of the first Great Ace Attorney game. Uh, so last time we finally met Mr. Egbert Benedict, whose real name is Mr. Grayson, Graydon, Ashley Graydon, and things are getting very spicy because we found out that this case is related to the first case that we got when we first arrived, the McGilded case. So what we're going to try to do today is finish off this case while also trying to figure out what the hell happened with Mr. McGilded's case. Oh, I really hope we figure this out, because I really want to move on to another series for you guys. I really do. If we don't move on to another series, I think I'm going to lose my shit. So let's just get started. Right off the bat, let's just go. So this is the article in question, is it? The small box deposited at the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilda 2 months ago. And on the night of Mr. Windybank's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick! Let's open it and see what's inside! Let's do it. What the hell's this? Good gracious! This is no ordinary box, it seems. Wow. Although in truth I had an inkling that this might be the case. It would appear that the box houses a miniature music box movement. Oh shit. Then is it too much to expect? I think it would be reasonable to assume that it was a device for the playback of this disc, my lord. Dun 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 dun. I love this music. So good. So here we have the means to play back Mr. McGilda's disc, deposited at Windybank's at much the same time. That's strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGilda's disc. It was the disc of his victim on the omnibus. But why, for heaven's sake? We don't understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell this music box disc to Mr. McGilda. I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. Yes, very well. Let the court now listen to this curious disc at last. Gregson? Why? Hey, my lord! Good grief! What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The music box and the disc are, well, they're unrelated to the case. No need to spoil the somber atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music. Objection. This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understand what happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no! That piece of evidence is police property now, and you can't... Clearly, Scotland Yard has some vested interest here. But it is policy of this prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored. And you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. Yeah! No further delays, please. Play the disc! Huh. What on earth? That's certainly not what I would call music. No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in an irregular sequence. Mr. Grayton, this really is priceless. After all that, the music box is broken. Broken? It can't be, can it? Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the officer sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom. Well, with much regret, I feel this court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. No, I think that's Morse code. Are you ready to move on, Couch? No! Come on! Yes, alright. It does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? Yes. I believe that it could be relevant, my lord. Good lord! But how can it be? It is an abomination, Council! Mere noise! I fail to see how it can have any meaning whatsoever. It does sound strange, I agree. But there's one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It is Gregson recognizes the noise as if he's familiar with it somehow. And that's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the stance of the defense, my Nepalese friend, answer me this. Oh. Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case? It's the defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is... I don't think it's supposed to be music. Just because this is a music box, it doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said that. I'm on the right lines here. I must be. Hehe, making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Bruno! Okay, so she does have a thing for Herlock.
Objection!
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now that you've told us what they're not, I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Nepalese friend. Well, surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument. Exactly. The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that fact is pure foolishness. They've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Bruno! I've just examined the box very thoroughly. And I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all. Really? Really? It's the way it's made. You can only produce a single note anyway. Thank you, Iris. Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Ah! Could it be? Is that what these sounds are? Something just struck me, Bruno. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even, I've heard another sound very much like this one that the music box makes. Yes, it is a familiar sound. Actually, Iris, I was just thinking exactly the same thing. It's Morse code. I'm going to have to press the defense for an answer. For your assertion. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, Counsel? All the evidence we've seen so far, all the testimony we've heard, it's all pointing to one single answer now. The prosecution demands that my learned Nepalese friend presents proof. Now. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation. Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. And if I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds on this music box is... What? What?
It's a sensational story, Lord. Got the front page. Look, Ministry Mole.
Oh, sorry.
Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice.
For a 10-year-old? Ira certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news.
It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations.
Communications are being intercepted, but how would someone be doing that?
That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with three different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo?
No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday.
Yes, it could be. And it could explain why he has Grixie running from pillar to post at the moment.
I see.
Take that!
Has to be this one.
Today's paper, Council. The headline is Pawnbroker perishes in Pig Purse Plunder. Highly supportive of your cause.
No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little further down the page.
Further down. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter, being investigated at the highest level, I understand.
I have heard that international transmissions along supposedly secure lines are somehow being intercepted and leaked to various other countries. And presumably, those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams? Of course. Juror number 5, your input, please.
Stop. Oh, me, sir. Whatever's the matter.
You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, did you not?
Yes, that's correct.
And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports?
Oh, yes. We're not your run-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important.
Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound?
You don't mean to say, is it...
That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it. I believe it's called Morse code.
But I don't believe it!
Now correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer. Are you suggesting that the music box disc contains stolen government secrets in Morse code?
Order! Please, everyone! Order! But this is high treason, Council! Deserving of capital punishment!
Too much new vocabulary. What is this treason? And what is capital punishment? The sorts of words I half expect you to know.
Our sovereign government's confidential information. Hostile nations will surely pay almost any price.
Yes, and on that night 2 months ago. That was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus. But in the end, McGilded perished, and the all-important disc lay unclaimed in the pawnbrokery.
My word!
In which case, whoever stole that information in the first place must surely have been beside himself with worry. Because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country,
it would reveal an act of high treason punishable by death.
So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it. And in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night. Because the article left behind by Mr. McGilded would incriminate him too much if it got into the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon? Aw, shit! We're getting into some spy crap? Let's go! You think I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous.
So, in response to the defense's accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you?
Well, of course I do. I've had to stand here in silence while that pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Objection!
Then by all means, counter the charges, sir. The prosecution demands the witness testifies in the response to the accusations brought by the defense. Delighted, I'm sure.
The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny in this trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Windybank. That being the most
Oh my god.
flagitious offense for which the law of this land sanctions a capital punishment. But the heinous act of high treason is no less serious a crime. I urge you to bear that in mind as you testify, Mr. Graydon. So then, let us proceed.
These boys? You gotta let us have a rabbit and pork here, Governor. We got things to say. Oh, these guys again?
I beg your pardon. Who do you think you are?
Name's Nash Skokin. Occupation is professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skokin. But we ain't baddies enough to sell to motherland. That's right. We're what they call the Three Skokin Brothers. Bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing. No. Is he a spy? Is he a spy too? Graydon's counter. A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government secrets. Besides, the sounds produced by that music box aren't even Morse code. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with McGilded anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man. Look, all we done is break into the gaff the other night. Like what he's told us to do. If we know there was some dodgy government secret involved, we would have touched it. Right. Mr. Skokin. What must still do, Governor? What's it?
Do I take it that you now admit to the crime? That on the night in question, you did indeed gain entry to the premises illegally. And moreover, you did so as a party of three, in collaboration with Mr. Graydon here.
We did, Gov, we did. I don't like these guys. This case is intriguing.
Heighten down, please. What do you say to that, Mr. Graydon?
I have no idea what these two ruffians are referring to. You little rotter, getting us mixed up in all this monkey business. You never said nothing about no government secrets. It was supposed to be a straight-up job. And what about the geezer who stopped shopping, was it? Poor bloke didn't even have to die, did he? Yeah. Nice to know who your friends are. Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations.
Indeed. Well, I surely wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it to the court record as evidence.
Alright, let's go. Send the court record. Had to fight for it in there. Cross in. Eh. What do you mean it doesn't sound like Morse code? They're not? To anyone with a brain, that would be plainly apparent on listening to that music box for even a few seconds. Of course, of course. Surely it can't be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Ouch. He looks genuinely shocked at my ignorance. I would be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir. A lesson? Here in court? Morse code is a continuous series of two distinct tones. Tones, you say? Yes, a short dot and a long dash. By combining those in different ways, you construct letters. I see. For example, this is an A, and this is B. But when you listen to the sound produced by this music box, you only hear one tone, don't you? But it sounds so similar. The rhythm of it is the same and everything. But there's no discernible meaning to this apparently random sequence of sounds. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. That is not Morse code. No! Really, you shouldn't be so surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspirations in future. Stop. Nothing to say, but stop.
Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it?
Iris?
I mean, if the government secrets are somehow being leaked using the music box, so many other things will slot in place so nicely.
Could there still be something I haven't considered? Would it really be impossible to use this music box somehow to play back Morse code? Well, let's give it a try, right? There's still every possibility that this music box was instrumental in the leaking of government secrets. There's the belief that that's the belief of the defense, at least.
Objection!
Does it please you in some way, my Nepalese friend, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? It's already been established that to be Morse code, two tones are required. Dots and dashes. Yes, I'm more aware of that. Then what? Well, it would appear the defense has a hypothesis to put forward. You might better present your idea at once, Counsel. How do you propose that this music box, which appears to produce only a single tone, could have been used to decipher secret messages in a Morse code? Fucking. Oh.
What is it, Bruno?
I've just noticed something about this music box. It looks like the bottom of it opens up as well.
Ah, you're right. Well, come on then. What are you waiting for? Let's open it.
Alright then, here goes.
Look at that. There's another movement on the other side.
So, does that mean you can set another disc to play back on this side?
Yes, I think so. It looks like the two movements are linked together.
They're linked?
So if you had two discs, they would both play back at the same time.
Well. Look what we found here, boys and girls.
Got it!
Oh, gracious. What am I looking at here? Another movement on the underside of the music box?
What? It appears, my lord, that the two movements are linked together. In other words, you can put two discs in this music box, and the sounds of both will play back at the same time.
Good heavens!
As the court has heard, Morse code comprises of two tones, a short dot and a long dash. With the second disc in place, This music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message. This is beyond a joke. I'm sorry. This poor excuse for a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims. Though, of course, if my learned friend were able to present the court with the second disc, that would be another matter. Well, I can't at the moment. And may I remind the court that, as the witness has pointed out, he was not the one in the omnibus with McGilded 2 months ago, striking a deal over the disc. Over the disc or discs.
Indeed. That was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
Exactly. I had nothing whatsoever to do with it.
Damn it. Though it has holes, I must admit the argument presented by the defense has much promise. I believe that the cross-examination should continue. The link between Graydon and the victim of the omnibus case must be there somehow. But I haven't found it yet.
Oh dear, it looks like you need to give your argument more straight through now.
You will reiterate your testimony if you please, Mr. Graydon.
If I must, though I maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination. Alright. What we done is break into the gaff.
Hold it!
Like Mr. Graydon told you to do, you mean?
That's it, yeah. Who else, huh? Silly mate thought he was just popping over for a natter after all of them years. But the rotter had a dodgy job for us. Yes!
Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say? Do you mean to tell me that Mr. Graydon is an acquaintance of yours?
We're the sociable kind of baddies, you know. Sure, let's say Graydon's not China.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. Skulkin?
Yeah?
No, the other Mr. Skulkin.
What? Who, me?
When your brother was testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react.
Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have a right old laugh together back when.
Together? With Mr. Graydon, you mean?
Yeah, with Ash, I mean, you look at him now, in his fancy whistle and flute, you wouldn't. Adamant even. But when we was younger, he was from the poor part of town, just like us.
Is that so?
But he always was a leery one. He had the brains, he had the savvy. Always coming up with smart ideas that would... Oh my god, smart ideas like what would never have gone through the heads. God blimey, ain't that the truth? Remember Milverton and Skulkin Milk Run? That was a corker, huh?
Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscing has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit.
Oi, the geezer asked us a question, didn't he? And we was answering it. Yeah, we ain't done nothing wrong.
Nevertheless, the court is not prepared to accompany you on your trip down memory lane. Counsel, can we turn our attention back to the testimony, please?
I don't know. Could that sentimental story be relevant somehow? Sure, let's add it. My lord!
Yes, counsel.
Brother's last sentimental statement could hold vital information relating to this case.
Very well, counsel. I will permit the brothers to supplement their testimony with the detail. Briefly, I hasten to add.
Say no more. A skulker's never skulking.
Overton is Skulkin's milk run. Or were them the names, huh? push it. I'm sure I'm gonna regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business?
Just a little scheme we had going on back when we was youngsters. A bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to the locals. That's what it was all about.
That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. I suppose since we're here, I should ask them to elaborate. But on what? Well, the name. How it feel? So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved?
Yeah, that's it.
Milverton and Skulkin's Milk Run, was it?
Yeah, that's it.
And where did the Milverton part come from?
Oh, right. I thought. A clever clogs like you. Enough of this. How much longer are we expected to listen to this drivel? I don't.
Let me guess. You don't accept anything that these two witnesses are saying? Tell me, why is it that it was only at the mention of the name Milverton that you decide to interject?
Because well... It weren't the happiest of homes that one came from. Yeah, his old man was struggling for money so much his wife walked out on him. She took the name Great then, see? But Ash will always be a Milverton to us.
Milverton. So that used to be your surname, did it?
Of course not. This is all Bunkum. I've been a Graydon since I was born. Do you really think I can rely on the testimony? Do you think you can rely on the testimony of these two thieves?
You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at the time of your appointment. It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon. Well, it would appear that Mr. Skulkin's testimony has been reliable. For once. You were born Ashley Milverton, then. Is that correct?
Very well. Yes.
So Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things, and could turn out to be extremely important. Alright. All of a sudden, we seem to be up in our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although all of this talk about interception of secret government messages is just conjecture at this stage.
He would explain a number of things now, wouldn't it? The negotiation Ginny overheard on the omnibus 2 months ago, and the break-in at Winniebanks. But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the omnibus with Mr. McGilded.
No, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker who was so horribly murdered.
If only there was some link between the two men somehow.
I know, but Mr. Graydon's testimony seems to be as watertight as ever. I wonder if the key to us making headway with this cross-examination here could be those two brothers. Oh! Milverton! Uh-huh. You have no relation. Is that your father? Oh no. Mr. Ashley Milverton. Tell me, why did you try to hide your formal name from the court?
Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me.
No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all.
The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name. Oh boy, here we go. Explain yourself, please, Counselor.
I have here the notes from the omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim, the man who we now understand to have negotiated with Mr. McGilden.
Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
That's right. Only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton.
Milverton? Do you mean to say, Saints alive?
Mr. Ashley Milverton. Is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father?
Ugh, I don't.
As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you joined the civil service. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. The truth is, you have been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information and selling it on to McGilded in collaboration with your father. Oh, we got him, boys. We got him on the ropes. The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all comes together to reveal the truth.
The truth, you say?
That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded.
I did to this music box, you mean, Counsel?
Yes, stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it on to McGilded. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme of using 2 music box discs to encode the information, as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands.
And it's a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever.
Greetings. But the deal with Mr. McGilded went sour, and the brickmaker met his end. Yes, but before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learned of the situation, you appeared at the Windy Bank. Oh god, hiccups. Oh god, no, please. No. No, while I'm recording. Then, having learned of the situation, you appeared at Windy Banks 2 days ago, in an attempt to recover the 2 articles McGilded had placed in pawn there. Oh boy. But that attempt failed. One of the discs was seized by the police, and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skokin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. This time, determined to recover the second disc.
Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box?
Yeah? Wait, we never knew nothing about that.
On the night that Mr. Windybank was killed, these are getting fucking insane. The intruder to the pawnbrokery touched one item, and one item alone. The music box.
As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the 2 prints from the security camera and date.
So, the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contained a second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since, if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny that all of this actually began on that fateful night 2 months ago?
I refuse to accept any of this nonsense.
Sir, there appears to be blood seeping through your sleeve of your jacket. Oh, right there.
What?
2 nights ago, We know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windy Bank's pawnbrokery. 1 took the life of the pawnbroker himself. 1 struck the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide is a bullet wound, isn't it?
Got him. He's got you now, me old China. Time to call quits and croak, I reckon.
Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those are my terms, remember, and I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly, I was a fool to think I could trust some common-back slum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windy Banks that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me. And as you've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures. Aw, shit. Well, that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets, negotiating with Mr. McGilded. As God is my witness, I am sure I recall nothing of the sort. He's not going to go down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Which is... Well, we know that 1 bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers hit the pouch around Mr. Schultz's waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windybank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon in the arm. Indeed it must. We can rule out the possibility the man shot himself. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windybank was shot by a 3rd gun, which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder.
Good gracious! Goodness!
That's right, Mr. Graydon. The only person who could have possibly have shot Mr. Windybank that night is you! Aw, fuck!
Hold it!
You little upstart! You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. What? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I'd built myself at the communications station. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see, this makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client.
What? Are you suggesting?
I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at the poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him. You... what? Okay.
Order! 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 Well, it would seem we have finally entered the last act of this theatrical trial.
Mr. Graydon. Yes? I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. It is shown that your claim is false. You will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Oh, I understand fully.
Then I must ask you to give your formal testimony once more. You explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim.
Nothing would give me greater pleasure. This bitch. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When he banged through Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. That doesn't seem right.
Good gracious. This is quite extraordinary testimony.
It's bullshit testimony.
I'm sure, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Order! Order! Order!
It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is it my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. Oh, this bitch. The truth? Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood. You say the blood splattered over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point? Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time.
Really? If a coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, there would be conclusive evidence here.
Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, not some amateurish detectives' dubious foray into the world of chemistry.
There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound.
Ideas are of no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. Ah! In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a very small quantity of the chemical reagent used. With your lordship's permission, we could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes.
This doesn't look good, Runo.
Why not?
Well, we know, don't we? That there's blood all over the front of Ginny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals...
Oh, help, you're right. I was forgetting about what happened yesterday.
Don't move, Ginny! Gonna shoot!
No. Well, that's not Mr. Windybank's blood. That stain is from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood, from when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. Overruled. Of course it's overruled.
No Van Shikes! Make it so at once!
With pleasure, my lord.
And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with cross-examination.
Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be...
Counsel!
Yes, my lord.
Your cross-examination.
Of course, my lord. This cross-examination doesn't go well. If I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or a really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Oh boy. Police ruffians were jostling with the broker. I was still near the entrance to the shop. Nothing I can really press here. The Moneybanks threw Nash over the counter and felt a sharp pain. I pursued the man, but he showed himself in the storeroom. Hold on, what did he say last? Gun out the people.
Hold it!
That's not right. Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room? That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. Well, why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there, in case of any more tragedies took place. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime. Sorry about that, guys. Just talking to my friend real quick. Yes, it was yours truly. I left the cleanup to my lackeys and left. Cleanup? We made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistles and Flute here told us to tidy up. He was thinking about his bloomin' mom or something. Well, I was paying you enough, by God. Ugh. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
You little toe rag!
You're like a bull at the gate, aren't you?
Excuse me!
Gentlemen! Uh, 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 uh. Something wrong, Sunshine? That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin. Blimey, this dude's a bit of a hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? Saw him. He grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes, he said. Why'd you mention the third gun when we got you down the station? And why didn't you? Of course, we didn't know nothing about it. Or the flaming people at the door. Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? God blimey. See the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, this day gives me the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone.
No, that wasn't like Grixie at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him.
Yes, well, I think he might be a special case, Iris.
Well, anyway, it was definitely out of character. What's your feeling, Rudo?
As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in this testimony at the moment.
But you have to find a way to break this man.
And quickly, too, because once they discovered the blood over the overcoat Gina was wearing...
It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood splatter over Jeannie's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen.
But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank, so what's going on?
All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist test be accepted as evidence when mine and Hurley's was? Detectives can use test tubes too!
Never mind that. I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat.
Hold it!
Guess I got impressed. Mr. Winnipeg emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at him. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we're just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say that you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined it, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help you, little gruff. But the old geezer chucked me over the bloomin' counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella. And that sort of thing made him scalper. Apparently Shane on the poor defense just pondered me together. Shame on you. Sorry, Gov. Counter felt a sharp pain.
Hold it!
You mean, that's the moment you were shot? Yes, I thought I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment when it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshots. As the bullet went on to strike the counter in the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Winnipeg intend to shoot you, do you think? Well now, I don't imagine he ever noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, I didn't quite strike home. When I pulled me gun on him, he tried to shove me off the way. Then he scampered through the door out back. At which point, what did you do? Man, but he showed himself in the storeroom.
Hold it!
You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job made of stout wood. But there's a small opening in it from about head height that lets you see what's what in there from the outside. Oh my god, I couldn't read that. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. And what about you, burglary brothers? Did you see what went on through that peephole as well? No luckily, Gov. They see no short, Gov. I doubt these 2 buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Winnipeg take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? Used black coat shot the man in the back.
Hold it!
Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Winnipeg's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And, as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. But no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Mr. Winnipeg's gun grazed my arm. And yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the victim. Grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely. The third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had been a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time.
Objection.
But no other gun was found at the scene. Oh, calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. It was at that moment, the little gutter rat shot him in the back.
A chilling image, I must say.
Hold it!
All over her. Yes, through the peephole I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains aren't visible now, with what the coat being such a dark color. But I assure you, that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure.
Well, it's not Mr. Windybank's blood, is it?
No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGill stabbed him 2 months ago.
It's so annoying! Only they accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we can prove that!
They won't. So unfortunately, we can't use it as evidence to support our case.
Bother!
Oh, My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination.
Explain yourself, officer.
We have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood on the accused's overcoat.
Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel.
No, my lord.
No.
There you have it. Report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of splattering following a gunshot wound. End of report.
Goodness me!
See? What did I tell you?
Objection.
No, the blood on the coat is not Mr. Windybank's.
What on earth makes you say that, counsel?
The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windybank's, Mr. McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker of the omnibus.
Objection.
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nepalese friend? Sorry? 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for Mr. McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have had earned yourself in this country. Ah, but that was... Only folly, disgrace, treachery, that's what it is. Yep, fuck. How to determine whether the blood on the coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't have answered that one. Can't be done? But... We use Mr. Sholmes' specially formulated chemicals? Sholmes' detective, not chemist. You put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer. They held the Petrosky for a starving boy, and he ran away crying. Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all. How could you say that? Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish.
How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir?
As the witness said, the accused's coat was splattered with blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly know that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. Ah! So annoying. Look! Been a long battle, this one, but the old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman. As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now. Sir!
Guilty.
All guilties. Here we
Guilty.
go. Look!
Guilty.
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 Well, shit. This is insane. This is the third one we're gonna do. It appears the ladies and gentlemen have reached a unanimous verdict. Ah, now you're finally drinking your goddamn wine. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the jurors' decisions being equally successful. I don't believe it. After I've come so far, how is this all unraveling on me so fast? How very distressing to be held in such low esteem. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Officer, you've delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurred to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo. Scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind. Oh, is that Sholmes? Is that Sholmes? Please tell it be Sholmes. Oh, it's Sholmes! I know that voice. Am I going mad? It's Sholmes. It's Sholmes! Let's go! Mr. Sholmes! What is the meaning of this? Da, 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 da. Love his theme, bro. Order! Order! What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in hospital. Ah! As well as I would be, had I not been set upon an errand. What errand?
Hurley! It's really you! You're awake at last! Yes, good day, Iris. It appeared to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to retrieve. I wish to give to the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time? What say you to this, Lord Van Sykes? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already. Exactly, having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Very well then, Counsel. You have 5 minutes. Sholmes! My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now? Alright, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me, should I pass out? Let me make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots! Now that we can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Ah, well, that concoction of mine is really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it from appraisal by the scientific community. An oversight on my part. Right. Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender Hiroshiki rabbit? A leaving present from Mrs. Sato. From Mrs. Sato?
If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. I don't understand. Mrs. Sato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand. And that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in considerable peril. At this very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Sasato-san. Whatever could it be? What is this?
Oh! It's the machine I made!
Ah! Meow, Wagahai!
Look! I use this! It's my latest invention!
What is that?
I call it the cat flopomatic. Flopomat. I can make a cat flop for a little furry friend like Wagi in seconds. What's Susie up to?
Mrs. Sato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? Oh, I gotta voice Sato again. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world.
Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure.
Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night, when you left Windy Banks in pursuit of the thieves, Mrs. Sato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not at all cryptic, then. Oh! Shit! Wait! Was that? Oh my god, that thing wasn't there before, was it? She used this! Sato-san used the cat flapomatic that night, but why? Oh my god! Am I right? Yep. Sip a Tankership. Your 5 minutes is over. We're out of time already? Well, seems that way. I'm grateful to you for affording us a brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder... Mr. Naruhodo! Yes! The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end. Badly. My lord, the defense requests... further cross-examination. Has to be. Because if we do this, we have no other way of changing their minds. Time to think we are a god, so this is the only further thing we can do. Further cross-examination.
Objection!
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
Objection!
The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness. Rather, to continue with one of the existing can't read. But you know what I mean. What? It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord!
Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination.
Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel?
No, my lord.
So nobody can say anything then.
Hmm.
If Uno has to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon,
The court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. You did say it.
I would like to remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity to conclude the cross-examination.
Oh, yes.
Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it.
Single chance to present evidence?
If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further.
My lord. Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it is high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands. Awake, passed out. Mr. Schultz!
To stand so instructedly before the court in a state of such high fever, either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling.
I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you?
Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared?
Let's do it. Yes. One statement, one evidence. One piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down. Or Iris. Idiot sandwich time, baby. And I won't waste this final chance that Sasada-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial.
Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination.
Oh boy, okay. Crossing the broker, I was still near the entrance. This doesn't give me anything. Natural encounter, I felt a sharp pain. Man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. Like people in the door, though. I need to see something first, though. Wait! There was no people there before! I knew it! Hold up! Wait a minute! Objection!
Objection.
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, counsel? Oh, it's my cat flapper, my lord. He makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of, and make a new little door in the middle of it.
That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open up the main door. I'm sure we can all work this out for ourselves. But that cat lover's controversy has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there's no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door.
Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand.
Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create A peephole in any door you can imagine, and practically no time at all.
I beg your pardon. A peephole, you say?
2 nights ago. We arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windybank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time.
Your assistant did what?
There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself, in order to see through the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much as my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake?
Yes. How could you?
What?
Counsel, kindly say what you mean.
Alright, it's time. Time to strike the fatal blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through.
What? No!
Objection!
This is a farce! Are you serious? Are you really suggesting the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place, by my judicial assistant using this device.
Your assistant tampered with the crime scene, whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. This must be an act of vandalism.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in a few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Oh shit, let's go! Love this music, man.
Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel.
The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door.
Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back.
However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies.
Order! Is there any credence to in this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever. As my learned friend must surely realize.
Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me.
I'm afraid not, sir.
Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door?
Oh yes, I decided to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second.
Haha, I had a feeling you'd say that.
What?
Waggy! Cooey! It's time for dinner!
You already did that? Waggy! Waggy! Who's Cooey?
Well, young lady, this is the Old Bailey. Why does not make cat flaps in the old paneling of the Old Bailey?
I'm not done yet, don't worry.
This does not mean that the people in the storm wasn't made by your machine.
And there's no way you can prove that it was.
No, but that's easy.
What?
The cat flaps my cat flap man crates are all fixed size. And the dimensions of the people on Windybanks are the exact match. Hey! Old Silk is lost for words.
Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it's my learned students. Oh my god! Fucker! Can't read. And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. then you may have some difficulty in establishing all the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the people has dimensions that are a perfect fit for the contraption. In that case, when was the people cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. Ah. What is the purpose of this line of inquiry, Lord Van Sykes? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the people was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the people was made, my learned friend's claims amount to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? Indeed it is so, Lord Van Sykes. Well, Counselor,
Don't give up now, Bruno! This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through!
I don't know if I can do this, but I know one thing. Sasada-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Alright, maybe pushing it a bit.
Very well. The counsel for defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Winniebank's storeroom was created after the incident, and not before.
Well, it's this. Look, 1 a.m. Incident wasn't there. 1:30? It was there.
Take that!
Got it. What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Mrs. Sada Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered the scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof.
And the necessary proof is this photographic print, Counsel.
This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background.
Let me see that print again. I don't believe it! This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description.
Yeah. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. Oh shit! Is it a breakdown time? It's a breakdown time, I feel. Let's go!
Order! 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 I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated his claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony is entirely fallacious.
Whatever it is. Fallacious, that's what I meant. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. But more importantly,
Good lord, there's more, Lord Van Sykes.
the defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene. It's true. And I was shot in the arm. It's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I'm the victim here. Bro. Oh, please. No! I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he's the culprit.
Still, he can't worm his way out of it now.
Iris?
You know what they say. There's no point locking the cat door after the cat is bolted. Isn't that right, Rudolph? As Shirley always says. One line begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories.
Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense.
Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark?
What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements.
What?
Objection!
This is provocative. Oh my god. Provocative. This is provocative. Oh, sorry. This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely, the bloodstains on the coat. You shouldn't have known. The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat.
That's right. The victim's blood splattered over her when she shot him.
But how could you possibly have known that?
Obviously, because I saw her do it through the peephole in the...
The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie that you concocted that is so revealing.
You're not making any sense.
Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door?
What? Well, obviously, I
should cat got your tongue, witness. The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windybanks consistently, carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pond articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave them the order to have the officers working around the ship, clocking shifts, so we get all through. Oh my god, I can't read!
Can't read!
And, consequently, there's no way out. There's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door.
How on earth is this possible?
Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zykes? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if that's all the same to you, permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same. To me, Inspector, not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Of course, sir.
Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words that you have just uttered have serious, extreme implications. It's the other way around. Whatever. Yes. But the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering a particular clue we have,
There's really only one person that it could be. Who's the person in question, Counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony?
Gregson! Dude! I liked you, man!
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson.
Eh? Me? Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learnt of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess. While the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here before the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until just such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the people. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information? So that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigation to this fella, huh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that had transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on each other was after the proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred.
Ooh, I just remembered something, Renault.
What is it, Iris?
There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying.
Oh yes, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve Mr. McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little toe rag, you're making all this up! I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, Counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people of the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. Oh, shit. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. Oh my god. Getting tired of reading dialogue here. Well,
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's my god, I can't read! Specialty. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? So what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of the alleged deal.
If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Grady, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it.
Hold on. Do you think it could be?
Yes. If the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle, it's...
Much pressure for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of this alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness?
the disc. It's hit. He said it was his. He wants it back.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice? How the bleeding Nora could you? We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Winniebanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon, in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case. You little... Let's go! Things are getting crazy up in here. Order! Order! On the day of the incident, when we met you at Winniebanks, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't! Don't give it to him! It's mine, it is! Mine! Sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew at this time. Isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets! My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets lodged from the ministry. And to do so on the QT. Strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Lie not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure myself. I realized there's a possibility, that's all.
Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime to the witness. To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony.
There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men. Oh boy.
Objection!
If I stress, if the sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, huh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious! Then, you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person?
Yes!
Yes. Haven't heard that in a while. The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once.
Definitely! They could only have struck a deal with each other when Jenny was testifying before, and Gregson had moved from the witness stand once.
My lord, please! Order an examination of his personal effects immediately.
Inspector.
This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to that? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned friend, my learned student friend. You made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious.
Indeed, to have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force. It's not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. You're just threatening Bruno because you're scared!
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here.
Very well, Counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time.
Yes, my lord.
Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects?
How about we search the other guy? There's no way they could have already exchanged. Not one bit. Yes, the defense formally demands the search to be conducted.
Well,
Don't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide.
very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects,
Objection.
please.
Oh no. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of this, huh? Lost it all, have you? Have you in this sunshine? God, I can't read today. This court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you. It's her.
Bruno's doing what you all told him to do, and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Oh, shed, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction, and eagerly awaits his next words.
You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be.
Counsel, of whom do you request a search?
Nash. He was shaking him. Perfect place to hide him.
Take that!
Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Well, I never.
Him, coming. Me, him.
Very well then. Bailiff, restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal
Hold
effects.
it!
Please, my lord.
Inspector,
Scotland Yard has objected to the search.
Objection.
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. Eh? In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Sykes! I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial.
Bailiff, carry out the search.
Now, hold on, Monk. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out!
Damn.
Ah!
Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this.
Good lord, that's...
Another music box disc.
I don't know nothing about it. Nothing.
That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Things are getting even more spicy. I think we're reaching the end of this.
Order! 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 Mr. Skulkin, what have you say for yourself?
Gordon Flamin Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal was struck between this witness and the detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the trainer inspected trading for information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
I admit to nothing of the sort.
While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently.
Yeah, he did it all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off it. I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother I was.
And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that?
I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle like I was starting to shake me. Why the blazes did you mention the third gun didn't you mention the third gun when you were down the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear, all he did. He ain't still throbbing now.
The way the detective behaved, then, was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Well, bless me, Wig. He hit it?
You?
But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry. And to do so in the QT. Strictly hush-hush.
Hush, hush. A top secret assignment, is it?
As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if that information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness.
Ah, does this mean?
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him. He slipped the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense?
I am about to lose my voice.
Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon. Are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal?
Admit to it? Yours truly? Please.
Mr. Graydon,
Clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection.
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with the detective. All of it is this young Eastern man's fantasy. I have no idea what any of this is about. You... What? This bitch. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done has been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public in this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when making your decisions.
this is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leadings.
Well now, as a fellow servant of Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector.
Yes, he's an incredible man, I'm sure. He sure is. One becomes a good judge of character.
Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blood to me.
Well, as a fellow professional, I like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idol. Stop.
Detective has very much trust in us. More than this I cannot say.
I don't believe it. Those 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. If they declare the decision now...
Is Jeannie going to be found guilty?
If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then... we're gonna lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windybank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness.
Well then, counsel, I think it's time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decisions, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court.
If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty.
So there's no choice then, Bruno. You have to throw some more evidence at them.
This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson? Graydon? Gregson. Inspector Gregson, there is one final piece of evidence I would like you to see. What's that then? If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witnesses here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly. Well, go on. This is my last chance. Looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit to a deal struck with Graydon. the music box. If you didn't strike a deal, then you'll be gladly using this.
Take that!
Has to be.
Is that Mr. McGilda's peculiar music box, Council?
Yes, with a disc already in place, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we just discovered set in place as well.
Goodness! Is this Council?
Hold it!
No! Wait! I can't let you do that!
Why not?
Because it's got nothing to do with this case. That's why.
Objection!
Not true, Inspector. The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of two distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And now we have a chance to confirm that theory. For crying out loud, sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here! If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason! Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness?
You're mad.
If you let that secret information out to the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot!
Objection!
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. That you continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine. Don't you dare! I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. My lord, if you please. The court must hear the sounds made by that music box.
Come on, Van Sykes, for Pete's sake, stop him!
Objection!
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I am a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law. So let me propose a toast. To uncovering the truth. By fair means or foul.
No!
Very well. The defense's stance here and that of the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen to this music box. Is set in operation once more. This time, with the second disc in place, and both discs playing simultaneously.
Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code!
Alright, I admit it. Whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut the bloomin' box up!
Oh, crap. Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you, or did you not, strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the people in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector?
I did.
Stop! What are you doing, man?
So exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess, we were stood here in the stand together. That's when he approached me with the deal.
Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! You there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. More information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in clear. The peephole in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night as the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, and if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbroker on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windybank. You... Traitor! Whoa! Whoa! Calm down! Oh my god! What is this?
Bailiff! Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once!
That's it then.
It's all over. What a breakdown. I thought we were having a breakdown a bit ago. Now we are. I despised my life growing up. The slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying, to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole.
And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination.
But then you decided to try and sell government secrets. Why?
Isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money! Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. And then one day, I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded.
You're a fan of bad talent, aren't you? I have money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me little plan now.
I was to steal the Ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the Ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lure the devil's offerings. How easy it is to succumb.
But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing.
And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. God, we're over 2 hours into this video. My father was a brickmaker through my mother, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker's apprentice.
I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that would generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again, to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier. Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you've become, huh? He was a different man to the one in my memory. A thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason, so I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made. Music box discs, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I brought the score with me. These are 2, actually. I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft. And that's how I had him make the 2 discs. Thereby splitting the information in 2. You were taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of 2 discs and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt for the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. See. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago was the second part of the deal, the exchange of the second disc. Yes. I sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seems he become reluctant to part with his money.
But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Gray. For why was it that on the omnibus 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded and not yourself.
When I received 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious. And when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you let your old man do it. Understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. Damn. Such a somber story. It was only then that I found out what sort of a monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore to my father's name. To extract revenge. Exact revenge. Revenge! So you're the guy who burnt down the omnibus? As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of that sinister background of all. I can't read, I'm sorry. I'm just super tired. I had made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing on my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in the city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that? I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything in his favor in this courtroom to ensure that he walked free, I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. That tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me to the courtroom. What's this, officer? Just sooner than I was led to believe. Hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There are some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. Just time for re-inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. If asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell McGilded he could examine the omnibus again. You're right. An imposter, hired by me. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. Damn. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death.
Spine-chilling account indeed.
But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end. Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded.
Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the magistrate trial 2 months ago. Maybe because it had been removed from the scene of the crime.
When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs, and the music box, you need to play them.
Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man.
What's this? Winnibank's pawnbrokery.
Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give it a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend to watch for it. I put the jewel in pawn for you. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will.
I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before.
Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like the extremely secure vault.
God, this is gonna end. So I knew that if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be that in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina.
I remember now that when we first met you at Windybanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Mrs. Stroud written down. How did you know who you were looking for?
From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns. That he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket. So I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork with the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did.
All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Winniebanks to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat, the one disc I was in his pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing.
Because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier.
But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, I picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved.
Inspector,
You've recovered fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible. So we started gathering the fellas' possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could. Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc were still there in the shop somewhere, so I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery? I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I had located the music box I'd sold to McGilded on the shelves of forfeited articles.
and the second disc was inside.
Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened. What are you doing in my shop? Bang. A gunshot rang out in the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm.
The broker fired his gun, and the bullet pierced your limb.
Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I had intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge.
Sorry, Tail.
It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo ever realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. That's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Winniebanks on the wretched night.
Well then, the case is solved, I guess. Wow, this court is quiet. Also, can we switch to all innocent, please, Mr. Jury people? Earlier, you called McGilded a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done is exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded.
Yes, I think I have.
Damn.
Oh, music's back, thank God.
Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Grady?
He has been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Winniebank and the stealing of government secrets.
Very good. And you, Inspector? Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself.
Yes, my lord. Of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains, whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable.
Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Eh? Yeah? It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Ford?
Yes, sir. Garrett Ebb, squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
All right. Let's go.
Ha ha ha! That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Bruno! You managed to do it!
Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure we'd come out on top for a while there.
Susie was right! You're the best lawyer in the room! Mrs. Strahd, I'm not finished with you yet. Eh? What are you looking at me like for? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider. Eh? 2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in retaliation for the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Winnie Meg's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond from Mr. McGilda's property, it seems. Eh? I never done nothing of the sort.
Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilda's coat in your cell yesterday or anything.
Oh, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense. Determining that, when played together, the music box sticks contained a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, Counselor.
Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast. To determining that government secrets be disseminated before an entire courtroom. But very sorry about that. It was the only way I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... If I may say something on that point. Isn't that... Oh, it's her. It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. What? What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much of the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact. Goodness, madam, an unhealthy level of obsession, one feels. But I must say that, in my opinion, the sounds produced by those discs were nothing more than a meaningless series of 2 different tones. What? What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you off? Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you? Those discs contain minstrel secrets, sunshine! This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government communications. We know McGilda conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that that man has admitted to his crimes, we had no need to pursue this matter further. But it's really going to bother me.
Mr. Strahd. Yeah, my lord? That what you have seen here today in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalog of depravity.
An appalling experience to befall any child.
come on, it ain't nothing like I don't see most of the days in the back slums.
I beg your pardon.
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you've got to start at home. You've got to start out yourself.
Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I really look forward to the born-again Mr. Strahd never gracing my courtroom with her presence again. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of the pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade,
Not guilty. Oh! After over 2.5 hours on this fucking episode, alone, we finally got to the conclusive evidence. Hey, fireworks, let's go.
that is all. Court is adjourned.
Oh, we're still here. Okay. Strange. Nobody's here. This is awkward.
On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my Far Eastern friend.
Oh.
Despite being a Nepalese, you saw through the pretense to the malice that festered within that Englishman. And at the same time, you saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering your very different cultures.
I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether you're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside.
You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again, here in the courtroom.
You did.
When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nepalese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew. Try to understand.
You mentioned something similar earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly?
You may well ask. Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not.
Alright, then I'll wait for the day if I must.
Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, and my retirement from service 5 years ago, gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned Nepalese fellow, until we meet again.
Well then. That was definitely cryptic. 17th of April, 5:24 p.m. We were in there for 4 hours. Jesus. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Ah. Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed in me right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No one ever asked before, see? Kept the promise, property. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life, growing up in the slums, I have never trusted no one. But that's just because I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. The more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Yes, I think I understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in the trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone, and paid for it. The betrayal left a big scar. You know, though, Gina, I worked something out. Quite recently, too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. When your gut tells you the right thing to do, and trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of the valuable lesson. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in! But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. Sometimes trusting someone else is, alright. Thanks.
This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his clients. That comes down to how much faith he has in himself.
After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma. Am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Pardon the interruption.
What the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow?
That voice!
It's too late for that voice now, Miss Naruhodo.
I've been standing here patiently in the corner for the room for an eternity. Yes, it was me all along, I would have said when you finally noticed me.
But you people with your incessant babbling!
Mr. Sholmes! Yes, it was me all along! You see? I'd assume you've been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending for me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. And that was a fine victory, Miss Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat at you. Oh, thank you. Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe. Have I hurt you in some way, Mrs. Stroud? Why have you been having a snooze in your nice soft bed? Some of us have been fighting for our lives. Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, that's sure. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but, well, have a feel. Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes? And, in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade. What's that supposed to mean? Why so ad-librative? Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but... An acquittal in a trial with this particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Was anyone who's found not guilty in a trial he was working on winds up dead anyway? Is that it? The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified as the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself. Yeah, well, it don't bother me. Oh, really? Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like I'm upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean, like God? Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There are some calls like that. Fuck Trotter. What a rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters into his own hands and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGilded's all this weather. So I ain't scared. I got principles, see? A trait in you which is to be admired, Mr. Stroud. Oi, just give it a rest, alright? As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina. Well, there you are, Hurley! How long have you been here?
Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there.
Ah, Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves.
What happened?
As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room just as some bailiff. But these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it?
I'm not sure, really.
I beg your pardon.
I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's gonna land you in trouble one day.
I'll be careful. Ouch.
Anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Jeannie tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you?
Don't look like I'm gonna be going nowhere for a while. You heard the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was it again? Breaking and entering, taking the bug off their stuff. What was in lug, blah blah blah. Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense. But diving ain't an offense. It's a job, isn't it? I don't think so. Still, it has got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Odo? Well, no. But I was never a pickpocket. Well, anyway, I reckon I could make a change. I'm gonna do something for all of them. A lot like me in the slums. Something to make a difference for 'em.
That's a wonderful idea, Ginny. I'm sure you can do it. What is it?
Nothing. Jean Lestrade. Prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once. Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yes. Goodbye, Gina. Good luck. Odo? Yes? What are you doing? Ah! Wait, what was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so... Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Miss Lestrade. Eh? On occasions such as this,
I would recommend a simple thank you.
Oh yes, it's good advice, Ginny.
Right, I see. Well,
Oh, she took off the hat.
the, th- thanks, Odo.
Aww.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything what you done, for believing in me.
Not at all. In fact, that should be my line.
Thank you, Gina.
Well, there she goes. I wonder if I'll ever see her again.
Well, quite the indomitable pig-puss.
Oh, and you forgot, I brought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and the trial's all over the front page. Pickpocket innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful?
You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled.
Oh no, how silly of me. Ah, but anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news?
Not again.
What do you say, Bruno? Harley?
As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out the way first.
Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news.
And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it?
Let's not go there.
Alright then. Maybe let's start with good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. There was a record level of rainfall, apparently.
Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in great comfort.
Alright then, what's the bad news?
The huge storm has left the sea is very choppy. The channel is particularly awful. So sailing out of Dover have been delayed by a day or more.
Wait. It's over.
That's right. We head to the station immediately. We may still make it in time to wave Susie off.
But there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky.
Who do you think I am, Mr. Maruhoda?
Mr. Jones?
I rushed to Victoria Station early and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole. The great detective does it again! Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of transport directors' foibles.
What?
I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive. Elementary! Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way.
What are we waiting for then? To London, Victoria!
Please no more voice acting. Please no more. No more. I've been doing this for almost 3 hours. Technically 4 because I didn't stop last time. I just continued. I thought this would be quick. April 18th, 5:32 a.m. Port of Dover, Quayside. That took somewhat longer than I anticipated.
Susie's boat must be about to leave now.
Sato, where are you? There she is.
Over there, look!
Looks like she's been eating something.
Hold it!
Mrs. Sato, wait, what are you doing? Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here? We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that the sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see. Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go?
It It went well. She was acquitted.
That's wonderful. Really wonderful news.
The book you're about to throw into the sea. It was your encyclopedia of British law, wasn't it?
Oh dear. I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So, I was saying my final farewell.
You were saying goodbye to law? You, Sasada-san? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the people, Mrs. Sutton?
I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable.
That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie?
On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember.
Oh yes, we had a wonderful time.
Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean.
Oh, that was so much fun. I saw Runo's armband.
Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. That band's very important to me.
Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages.
On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flap-o-matic, so I put it up my sleeve.
Really?
Then I rather forgot about it, until I found myself in Mr. Winniebank's shop with it later that night. I see. And then...
Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes!
Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo! Right. After Miss Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think that door started to play on my mind. The storeroom door, you mean? Yes, if Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could be only behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had at my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know. So, you used the cat flap-o-matic to make the peephole in the door.
As captured in a photographic print of the shop by one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
Indeed, it was of the first importance, that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Miss Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though, naturally, without proof, it would have been amounted to nothing.
But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight of that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier.
The trial of Magnus McGilded?
I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Winniebank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing.
You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime.
That's right. But then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case.
What do you mean?
Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door. But which? A peephole would be the very thing. Only the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap? Is that why she did it?
So, is that why you kept the secret, Susie? He never mentioned that he made appeal to anyone, not even to the police. I know. I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong. A criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. Miss Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner, with no possible means of escape. The truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan.
She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began? My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with a crime scene. So Mrs. Sato decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone. For your sake, and Mr. Strong's. Mrs. Sato.
The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I lost a little of my faith in the law.
Oh.
I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that, it's the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant.
What you did is comparable to what he did. Rain is the one who lied in the witness stand, using that people as a way to implicit Gina. And besides, if the people inconsistency hasn't existed, I am not at all sure she would have been acquitted in the end. Masato, what you did saved Gina's life.
Well, with your kind words, Miss Naruhodo, you've saved me too, from my regrets.
Can I stop talking, please? Please, for the love of God, no more. But we must all be thankful for Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured. Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in this trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure.
But the revelation that the music box disc contains secret messages, Miss Naruhodo. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration.
Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was.
Oh, it wasn't?
There was a communication officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator. And she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones. As one would expect. After all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in cipher, to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted. Cipher? I see. So then, we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway. Nonsense, my dear fellow, it's quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you. God, I want to stop. Please, I can't though. Hey! So, G. Asogi? What?
Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said asogi. Does that word mean anything to you?
It means something. Asogi was the name of my best friend.
What? But how? How do you know his name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing on the music box.
She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius.
I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. Whatever I tried, the words didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least. Oh. It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have also added them to Morse code to use it in their own languages.
I don't believe it. Are you saying...
That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before, but I think it's based on the Iroha pentagram, isn't it?
And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code, the message says Asogi?
Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code.
Iris, would you let me see that?
Sasato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code?
Yes, I spent some time studying it.
Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important in the international communications. Well, you were right, for a bit. Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version.
Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please.
Of course! I'm about to lose my voice. We are over 3 hours in!
But what could this possibly mean?
Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes. It's made the color drain from Sasato-san's face.
There's no doubt this message is written in Japanese Morse code.
So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications?
I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names.
4 names.
The first is Kei Asogi.
Kazuma Asogi. Why? Why is his name on that disc? What?
The second is A Shin.
Shin. I don't recognize that name.
The third is T
Gregson. Gregson? Ah, it seems Tobias Gregson is the third man on the list. And what's his name doing on a secret government communication as well? I'm confused.
And the last name...
What's the matter, Mr. Sato?
It's just so strange. So unexpected.
Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense.
The last name is J. Wilson.
What?
Wilson?
John H. Wilson? You mean, get it?
Oh no. Oh no, please God, no. Uh-oh.
Says only J. Wilson. I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then, after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message, or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris.
Wait. Hold on. Is this an assassin list? Are we about to get D-Killer? I hope not. Please, God, no. Not this version, not this game's D-Killer. Oh my God, please. No. I just can't believe it. Who would have ever thought that those discs contained Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan.
So, Daddy could be in Japan then. Where Susie and Runo come from?
Oh, well...
No. It's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson. And there must be lots of J's among them.
Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. But we can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windybank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave.
I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon.
Yes, it seems so.
I'll sail on the steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France.
Dunkirk?
Then I'll change into a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan.
You're really going then, Susie?
We wish you a safe passage, Mr. Suffolk.
Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best.
Sato, I had hoped to have you always at my side, to guide me and support me.
Miss Naruhodo,
Please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. Aww.
I'm quite sure I'll be back before you know it.
Really, Susie?
Oh, now don't forget, Iris, I made you a promise I'd yet to fulfill.
A promise?
About your manuscript.
Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise.
Definitely, Iris.
Oh man, this game.
Miss Naruhodo,
Yes?
do you remember the first time you met?
Yes, of course. On the SS Burya, when I was dragged out of that wardrobe, so half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with a Susato takedown.
You know very well what I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy.
The Susato.
And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Bye, Susato. Thank you, God, it's a cutscene.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
And that... Oh. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, Mr. Sholmes? I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the special express train, apparently.
Huh? It caused such a commotion on the line. All the other trains had to wait at stations.
But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything, and how it was all your fault. What the fuck, Sholmes? Huh? I believe a formal complaint shall be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Mr. Sato...
You love defending yourself in court. It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See?
Um, Mr. Sholmes.
Yes.
A word, if you don't mind.
Why, certainly. Any word you like. Bellow it out. Bellow it out, my dear fellow.
Oh yes, I love Bruno's words, and I'm just the one you use here.
Objection? Then, I really must say.
Objection.
Objection. There it is. And that's the game! Oh, man! Woo! That is the first game of 2 in this duality. No. No. You know what? No. I'm not saying this stuff. You guys can read it. I'm done. I'm sorry, but I'm done. Oh my god. I'm tired of reading. I did it for almost over 4 hours today. Doing this. I'm done. Alright. I guess I can give my thoughts on the game. Really great. Even after I spent lots of time away from the game, I had a blast playing this game. I'm a big fan of the Ace Attorney series, and I really hope, really hope that, oh, it's ouchie, it's pain. What? So, yeah. I absolutely enjoy this game. I love this series, and I really want Capcom to remaster the other... Oh, it's Hosonaga! I totally forgot about you. I totally want them to remake the Apollo Justice games, as well as port over the, Oh, hello, Saseki. And, I want them to also port over basically the new trilogy. Not trilogy, but I want them to port over Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice onto Steam. I really want that. I really do, because I want to let's play. Oh, hello, Lord Strongheart. I see. So... Oh, don't we all, Lord Strongheart? But I've always found those games to be interesting, and I really want to do one with you guys. I really do. Don't worry, we're not done with the series. At least we're done for right now. God, please. I can't take any more, 3-hour-long episodes. I can't take it. I will frickin' move on to another games franchise that we haven't done in a while. I bet you guys are waiting. You guys love it. Bet you know what I'm talking about already. We're going back to XCOM, baby. That's right. We're going to XCOM. Going back. We're going back to the roots of this channel. Well, the first roots of this channel was the app. That app. Yeah, that I have now completely privatized, by the way, so no one else that knows who I am can make fun of me for it. So, but you guys who are probably here look back and you're like, what do you mean by the app? Don't worry about it. If you guys have been here since the first, yeah, just let you know. They're gone. They're gone. At least from public view. Oh, it's Patricia and Rolly. So, yeah, we're gonna go back to XCOM, but it's not gonna be going back to XCOM 2. We're gonna be doing something different. We're gonna be doing XCOM Enemy Within. something that I bet you guys once or twice probably weren't expecting, but were. Because I've been wanting to get back into that game so bad. I miss XCOM, and I have been training up for the next time. Next time we do XCOM 2. There will be different things. I'm telling you right now. It's gonna be different. XCOM Enemy Within. Well, I'm thinking about adding mods to XCOM Enemy Within. I'm not sure how you guys will feel about it. Oh, hello, Graydon. Oh, it's Nash. It's Nash and Ringo. The three Watsits, milking the neighborhood for all it's worth. God. The music in this game, spot on. Absolutely loved it. Kicked in at the perfect times. If it didn't happen to have good music, I don't think these games, I think Ace Attorney in general, would not stand on its own without Ace Attorney, without the music. The plot twists in general are insane. But this game is just amazing. This series is amazing. To me, it's a cult classic in terms of just how underrated this franchise really is. And I'm really glad this was given spot at E3 under the Capcom panel. And as soon as I heard it, I pre-ordered this game so fast. So fast. And that's a really cute picture. Waga hi. Oh, man. So, is that it? Oh, what's this? Just like more credits? Just really more credits? It is. Okay, cool. It's really amazing how this game always kept me coming back for more. And again, I've said this over and over, but the Ace Attorney franchise just does that. When you complete one case, you're like, alright, I'm ready to solve another. It's the perfect balance between visual novel and puzzle game. It is something that I've always wanted. I didn't know about this until after I didn't know about this franchise until I saw a YouTube series called Turnabout Storm. Now, I recommend if you guys haven't watched it, go watch Turnabout Storm. Even if you're not a fan of the other thing it's crossed over with, I promise you, it's great. Great reliance on both universes to keep itself up. As well as just everything. And I think the thing that brought me back to this was the sequel to it. With the sequel, I was able to, basically just get back into the Ace Attorney mood. And I bought the first trilogy. My friend's not going to be very happy about it. I'm the one that bought it. I paid for it. I paid $50 or $40 for that game. Because it was on sale on Steam. Not on Steam, it was on Switch. And so I was like, let's just get the game, bro. Let's just get the game. And so we played through that entire game. It took us a bit. Because course, we don't live in the same house, and we were in college at the time. We're still at right now. That's how I was able to finish this. But, it's just, this series kind of has a place in my heart now. And I just can't put it down. Fuck McGilded, bro. There he is. Fuck that guy. Use my noob incense against me. The fucker. God, I hope this, finishes up fast. Because I am running out of things to say. See, the only reason I'm kind of continuing on this is because I don't know. I don't know if there's anything at the end of this. If there's like a secret meeting. Let me tell you guys, I started recording this around 5 o'clock. It's 10, almost 10:30 now. Whatever way you put it, I've been doing this for over 5 hours. Oh my god. My tiredness knows no bounds. My throat hurts so much I'm hungry. And I've been putting off eating a chicken sandwich that my friend brought for me. I've been putting it off for so long. And I think after I'm done with this recording, I'm going to dig in. He also got the new Pokemon Legends Arceus, so we're going to be playing that once this recording is also done. So... Alright. Finn. I love just the Finn at the end of anything. It's so weird. I don't like Finn. Even though I don't know that's like French. I think. Oh, damn, what a cool picture. That's really cool. Alright. So you're gonna tell me to save? No! And we go back to the title screen. Anyway. I think I'm gonna end it off here. Nothing too spectacular. So I'm gonna take a break. Take a break from doing videos for a bit. Hope you... I know you guys are probably understandable with this episode being almost 3.5 hours long. But, yeah. So we're gonna cut it here. I really hope you guys enjoyed this series. We'll be moving on to another one, and like I said, we're gonna do XCOM Enemy Within. And please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment if you really enjoyed it, what you thought of the video, and what I could do better. I've always wanted to expand myself, expand what I know, what I want to do. So please let me know what else I should be doing. As well as subscribe if you really want to see some upcoming more videos from this channel. Alright. This has been a wonderful series, and I'm glad I spent it with you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.